All right. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Brent Hoskins. I serve as Executive Director of the Business Technology Association, and I'd like to welcome you today to this BTA Building My Business webinar. Today's webinar is entitled 2023 Vision, Navigating the Evolving Landscape of Sales and Marketing Technology to Drive Growth, to be presented by The.Shawn.Peterson of Quantum Business Solutions, Rebecca Phillips of HubSpot, and Jason Rhinelander of Night Office Solutions. So special thanks to Sharp Electronics Corporation, our sponsor for today's webinar. The company has been a longtime supporter of the association. I looked up and they've been a continuous member of the association for 22 years now. So if you have questions along the way, just type them into your Zoom Q&A or chat there on the screen, and we'll address those at the end of the presentation. So with that, Shawn, I'll turn it over to you.
Yes, thank you so much for having us on today, Brett. It's always a joy when we get to come on and speak with this group. So I think we have some awesome stuff that we're going to be able to bring to the audience today. As a past executive in the office equipment industry, I get really excited whenever I think about the future and where things can go. And I've also got Jason Rhinelander from Night Office out of Texas with us, and another special guest of mine, Rebecca Phillips, who is our channel account manager at HubSpot and has worked with dozens of office technology dealers in the last couple of years working alongside Quantum. So welcome everybody, and Jason, Rebecca, feel free to say hello to the group.
Hey everyone.
Perfect.
Everybody, welcome.
Won't spend a lot of time on myself, but came out of this space, had 10 years of experience as an executive in this channel, several as a VP of sales, and then a short stint as a CEO. And what I recognized through those processes is that there was a better way to go to market. And so ultimately ended up founding Quantum Business Solutions. And what we do is we help organizations grow their market share, increase the value of the organization, and ultimately grow sales faster and more efficiently and effectively. And then we have got next is Mr. Jason Rhinelander. Would you like to introduce yourself, Jason?
Yeah, hi. I've got 26 years of experience. I've done everything in this business pretty much on the sales side of it. I oversee the operations, marketing, and the demand generation for Night Office Solutions. I get really fired up. I'm really excited about this because of where we are within the economy and kind of the change in our environment. And so this is kind of what gets me excited again these days.
Awesome. Thank you, Jason. It's a pleasure to have you today. And Rebecca.
Thanks.
Hey folks, Rebecca Phillips here with HubSpot. As Shawn said, I'm a channel account manager. I work with partners and coach on the sales process. And I also work directly with customers. Prior to HubSpot, I was in sales and marketing for small businesses, leading marketing and sales teams. And I've seen a lot of evolutions of like the digital revolution. And so I really enjoy working with companies who have so much blue sky opportunity to take advantage of that.
Yes, thank you, Rebecca. And I'll just point out that she definitely is the most fun profile picture of the three of us. So she wins that already. All right, I'd like to start out with the strengths for this space and the opportunities that sit there. So many times I've had this conversation with Rebecca, and when I first brought up copiers and the opportunity, it took her a second, and then we sat back and I was telling her about all the positive things that go into this space and how much really these guys are like the most well-funded startups in the world. So just some of the strengths for you guys that you already know of is our client relationships. We have a ton of clients. Some of them have up to 30,000 B2B organizations that they work with. The financial backing, because you guys have got sturdy backing, cash flow, recurring revenue, that's a massive opportunity for you guys to be able to fund the growth and the new go-to-market motion. Infrastructure, right? Having operations service and the sales team, having some data in place, offices, those are all awesome strengths for this space right now. Brand recognition. I think our top client on brand recognition has been in their marketplace for over 75 years, believe it or not. Data. So there is a history of data. We'll talk about some of the challenges around that as we move forward throughout the presentation. But you guys have a lot of data. It's that sometimes it's not talking to each other and doing the things we want it to. And then I think having sales teams in place, B2B, is obviously a strength. So, Jason, with you being in this channel for 26 years now, what would you add to this list as far as additional strengths or opportunities that you're seeing out there for the space?
Well, the ever-changing market, right? These days, with copier companies, people are looking for relationships, right? And that's what we do so well at. So that's my main focus as a VP is to establish the relationships that we currently have and to build off of them and expand the footprint within inside of them.
Yeah, no, I think that's crucial. And we are going to talk a little bit today. Everybody's trying to cross-sell in this channel and in this industry right now with varying degrees of success. But I know that if you talk to any CEO or VP of sales, one of their top initiatives is how do we take those long relationships that we've invested a lot of money and a lot of time and energy into, and how do we cultivate and farm those as quickly and efficiently as possible with some of the other tech offerings that people are beginning to have pop up. Rebecca, you coming in from a different angle of a vendor and a provider. What have you seen that's unique about the copier channel in the business technology space that just really isn't out there in a lot of other areas or arenas that you've worked with?
Well, I think there's a baseline knowledge in everybody that I'm talking with that there is an opportunity to do things better. And the educational process of understanding kind of how to get there is a shorter process, right? Because you're already in the tech space.
Yeah. And I'll say, and being in this channel for a while, people are very much into learning and understanding new ways, creating opportunity. A lot of risk takers, visionaries, entrepreneurs. So it's super fun to work with these organizations because they're sturdy yet flexible at the same time when it comes to change and to growth. All right. So what are some of the current challenges in the environment right now? Well, a couple that we listed out are speed to market. So primarily, historically, we've knocked on doors as the way we would term that outside B2B sales, which has done a couple of things. One, it takes a little bit of control away from the organization of what's going to happen at that final touch point. And then as we continue to drive that through, that hasn't always turned into those cross-sell opportunities that we were hoping for. And it's a little bit slower pace into market, even for the net news, than what's possible today. Lack of automation or AI is one that I see regularly. A key one that I think is so crucial as we move forward is people in this space aren't using data to their advantage, right? So you have a lot of data. It's somewhere in that SQL database if you've got, eAutomate or an industry-specific CRM, but it's not being leveraged for actionable items or true insights on a regular basis. And so therefore, it's not driving a great ROI. They're unable to see a lot of transparency through the reporting processes of what's my marketing ROI? What are my salespeople doing? How do I create the efficiency? Where does the time go? Did we do quarterly business reviews? And if they do have those, it's oftentimes very manual to try to pull all that together. So we won't go through all of them. But one other one I would mention would be staffing. So we talk to a lot of organizations. They're struggling to find the great people. And then the ones they have, how do they replicate those? And I think what we're going to speak on today really helps in those areas. So again, Jason, on this, what would you add, or maybe, for a piece of commentary coming from the space, what are your thoughts and opinions?
Well, there's a couple of things that stand out to me. First and foremost, the challenges to the ever-changing market conditions, right? The tech industry is continually evolving. The B2B tech companies, they must be able to adapt quickly, right, to these changing market conditions. And companies that struggle to respond to the changes in the market, well, they're at risk of falling behind their competitors, right? So it's the changing market for sure. Processes, I've determined that's a major concern of ours as well, and that's things that we're working on, right? And we got to have effective processes put into place to manage your product development, the marketing, the sales efforts. And the companies that lack processes, that struggle with delays and communications and breakdowns, you miss opportunities. That's as simple as it is. You did mention the lack of automation and AI. and I'm not so sure if it's the lack of the automation, but I think it's the unsure of how to integrate it within the new way we're currently doing business, right? Because all these technologies are out there right now. It's just how do we use them to better ourselves and to get more efficient and effective to where we can be in front of clients at a higher, at a higher rate, so to speak.
Yeah, I love that insight. And, even as we're looking here, like staffing issues. So I know that Jason's team has used LinkedIn automation at points in their process in the last year. And you guys have actually hired a few people leveraging that type of technology. Again, that's just one small one, but there's a lot of different resources and tools. I think the hard part, like you're saying, is who can shepherd you through that, right? Who can take you through and really take that speed to knowledge and to action down to as minimal time as possible. So Rebecca, coming from the standpoint of, one of the best softwares in the world right now for all of this, what would your commentary be on this topic?
Well, I'm seeing it in this industry from working with you and Jason and understanding this is also across many industries. Disparate data, we call HubSpot crafted, not cobbled. So being able to pull that data together so you don't have siloed data, creating siloed teams and a siloed customer experience. I think ultimately that's a big impact on your business. CRM adoption challenges. If you're not tracking it, if your team's not adopting it, can you really trust that data and make strategic decisions based on it? And then in general, I'd just say alignment across marketing, sales, and service. So you have that front office seamless experience.
Yeah. So a couple example, guys, is when an order gets turned in, how would the salesperson know what's going on the backside of that business? They'd have to go manually check with someone in the administrative department or sales operation, depends what you guys name it in your company. But that would be an example. When a quarterly business review happens, how does that info feed back to marketing in an automated and systematic approach? It doesn't, right? And then you talk about CRM adoption. So your salesperson sends an email. How does that make it back into the CRM? They make a call. How does that make it back into the CRM and trigger something for the sale or for the marketing team, excuse me? If there's a couple of marketing emails open, how does that automate to create a task for that salesperson? Those motions are really missing. So there's a lot of siloed activity, siloed data, and it's slowing companies down from growing. So love your insights there and agree 100% with them, Rebecca.
Shawn, if there's something I could add to that, we went from not having to spend much money when it came to technology and investments when it came to that stuff. But I'm just thinking that these tech companies that can successfully navigate through these challenges, they're going to be better positioned to achieve their goals and succeed in these competitive markets these days. So by investing in the technology, the processes, the talent, your companies, you can build a strong foundation for growth and innovation.
Yeah, no, I love that. The idea, again, is predictable, repeatable revenue growth. And I see so many people, they'll say, yeah, we're trying to hire 30 reps right now. Well, we all know that if they hire a rep, they're going to pay, say, $5,000 all in. It's usually a 30 to 40 base in this space, overhead benefits, et cetera, tech stack. We're going to put them out there for $5,000 a month. A year later, if we hired all 30, we already assumed that maybe 10 are going to be there. You start running this math out, you're basically trying to find that magic bullet all the time versus how do we take the team that we have that's already successful, already knows how to close, and put them in the best position and leverage them up the human value chain. And that's where the quantum growth model comes into place. So if you think about it today, organizations will ask a sales rep to build a list. So find the prospect, send the emails to try to book the meeting. Maybe marketing's doing an overview blast every once in a while to that database, maybe not. Then we want them to do all the follow-up, set the meeting, go out there, put on a heck of a presentation, and then we want them to manage the account as well. Well, I don't know about you guys, but I'm definitely not good at all 5 of those items. And on top of that, if I'm a really good closer, why wouldn't we have that person focus right here? Okay, so there's a few issues with it. One, a lot of wasted time, motion, and energy. The other piece is if I'm asking someone to do all 5 of those, and let's say they're good at 2 of them, how do I hold them accountable to the other one? Right, so as Rebecca talks about adoption of the CRM, as we talk about data, et cetera. So as we get into these 5 key areas of the quantum growth model, it's target, attract, nurture, convert, and wow your dream client, which is really how do we build the list? Who's on it? Who's your ideal client profile? Who are the buyer personas within that? Well, wouldn't we want to have a little more control over that as an organization, not just have that relying upon what sales reps think they should be doing and who they should be calling? I see people calling the wrong types of companies. They're calling the wrong personas in the companies. And then we don't think they're probably bringing up all the products while they're out there. And we're leaving all that kind of up to chance. Then we get into marketing, and that doesn't really resonate or streamline with the rest of the organization. Go through the nurture, where we ask them to be the follow-up people while they get busy, and we all know what you're going to get reluctant on, phone reluctance, right? Close the deal, and then we expect them to go back and manage that account moving forward. So what we think you should do is either streamline the heck out of that best you can, or even start to consider specialization. And so one way to think about this, I know a lot of you on here probably deal with, say, the global model or pros elite model, but is if I've got $1 million to go in, that's my input, and I can sell 5 million on it. If I reshuffled that $1 million around and I could get 7 or 8 million in sales off of that, wouldn't that be better? So that's where we start to talk systemize it, optimize it, and then automate. So Jason, as we've continued to work with you, what are 1 or 2 key areas that have kind of stuck out to you that you feel like you've really been able to improve when it comes to the 5 key components of the quantum growth model?
You know, the target and attract, right? The buyer persona, like we have emails going out right now that are specific to office managers, C-level, CFOs, CIOs. So we've been able to really talk their language, right, from an automated perspective. The nurturing aspect of it, I mean, instead of relying on a rep to sit there and send out an email once every 12 months, we've got a process to where we're educating these people on what we're currently doing and educating them out there as far as what the different types of technology that we have these days. And then the conversion, right? Back in the day, to show an ROI is really difficult. And so for me personally, we've got to justify these types of processes. And we're able to track that type of stuff these days. And so it definitely allows us to justify it to the executives of the company.
And Rebecca, coming from that HubSpot standpoint, obviously the flywheel is something that, you guys really coined this years ago. What do you see out there that are some major opportunities that occasionally get missed when it comes to the flywheel?
I think there's a lot of noise out there, right? And people aren't reacting and taking action on a lot of noise. So it's really, 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 really important to send the right communication at the right time. And an example of that, I think, Jason, you're kind of referring to this, is like, hey, when someone's on your website, do you want to get a notification? Do you want to pick up the phone and call them? Do you want to trigger a marketing email? Do you want to kick off a one-to-one sales automation email? Do you want to send them your meeting link? Like, there's a lot of ways that you can capitalize on how people are interacting with you right away. So when I think about the flywheel, like engaging those people at the right time is critical. And then turning really the delight phase, which we'll talk more about, like turning those customers into more customers.
Absolutely. Cool. And then next, so you guys aren't going to be able to read this on the screen, but you'll get the idea. So this is a key area that immediately gets everyone to kind of say, okay, I think I truly understand what we're talking about here now. So this is what we would call the RevGen end-to-end process. We've mapped it out in 2D. We understand you guys all live in a 3D world with other dynamics, but if you look at the left side, that's all the different ways that somebody could potentially get into your ecosystem. So a webinar, for instance, we're going to call a lot of you who registered for this after, and we're going to try to set meetings. So just transparently, you guys will kind of understand, see how you fall into our model and our flywheel. Paid ads, organic social, cold calling, those are all ways someone could get into your ecosystem. Up here, you're going to notice third-party data at the very top. That's your Zoom info, your seamless AI, those data enrichment tools. Now that the target's been identified, comes into the ecosystem, on the left side of the gray boxes, that's customer goals, customer thoughts, process, successes, points of pain, etc. And the blue, Those would be what an organization, and we can get this stuff to you guys, but that would be what an organization should do at that stage. So as soon as data comes in, we want it segment. Well, how do we automatically segment so we get the right people going where they need to go? We want to bring them through an awareness stage of a marketing campaign. And so how do we feed them the right content at the right time that speaks to them and put them on an individualized buyer's journey? Because if I send a marketing email today, Rebecca ends up in my database next week, but today's email would have been great for her. She's not going to see that email. So she doesn't go down that buyer's journey, right? She missed it. That's what we want to try to get away from and have everybody go down the buyer's journey at their pace. Next would be consideration. So you're just going a little deeper down the information pipeline. Then as they get to that middle diamond, that is what we call a call target. Now it's time, there's been a lead score, or there's been an engagement or an activity that said, we need to call this person. Let's say that contact is not made. That's that square box right below. What nurture do we put them in? What nurture marketing email campaign do we put them in? If we do make contact, they're not always going to book a meeting, right? So people say, send more information. I'm busy. Call me back next month. These things all happen. Well, how do we have no lead left behind? So what happens? Where do they go? And how do we automate that? If they would book a meeting, how do we send them the right information ahead of the meeting? So if you've ever booked a meeting with me, you know, you get a video of me telling you what the first meeting's all about and stuff right before that meeting. You're also getting reminders. If the meeting's conducted, how do we capture all that data? So you've paid sales reps over the years, tens and hundreds of thousands of dollars to go out and to meet with prospects or customers. How do you capture that data in a structured approach where all those answers, who's your IT provider? What's the spend? Do you outsource IT, UCaaS, audio, video, copiers, managed print, production, whatever those are, they're not making it into people's databases in the right way to segment. And so then marketing is just having to kind of do blanket marketing. They're not really able to zone in and then help you get an ROI. As you move through, then you end up in solution determination. And then how do you systemize and automate the heck out of that client success, the wow part, up to and including, I'll give you guys one example. So here's the freebie for the day, right? Is you guys are going out and doing quarterly business reviews. Most companies think they are. When we find the math, it's not always happening, but that's either going to end up in a Word doc, a PDF, or usually the notes of the CRM at best. What doesn't happen is it doesn't segment and then feed over to marketing. So marketing can trigger the right nurture campaigns to do those cross sells, and the right people can be identified for the sales team again to reach out to go upsell again. And let's just say you took a form. Every time that form got submitted, everything went right where they're supposed to, and all the marketing went where it's supposed to. On top of that, Jason will be able to attest to this. How difficult is it to track who got a quarterly business review and who didn't? It's spreadsheets and CSVs, and it takes you the whole next year to figure out who got the quarterly reviews last year. And we already all know the answer. It's not everybody like it's supposed to be. What if now, boom, there was an automated report. As soon as it's a day after that quarter review is supposed to have been done, sends a notification to the salesperson. If it's 10 days later, it sends the salesperson and manager. If it's 30 days late, maybe the VP gets a notification as well in Slack or email. So again, I digress a little, but mapping out your process, what happens, when, where, how, why, and then all those little lines between things, I say that's where automation can happen. So I'll pause here. Jason, I know you really were passionate about this, wanted to talk about the process side. You want to hit a couple of high points on this?
I do. Thanks, Shawn. First and foremost, don't be overwhelmed by this map, right? Because there's a lot of moving parts in it. Okay. And I know you can't read it. So that's the first thing. It doesn't have to be as complicated. This is expert level type information that we're looking at, right? But for mapping RevGen, the process is important for several reasons, right? It identifies inefficiencies. So by mapping your RevGen process, you can identify inefficiencies and bottlenecks in your process. And this can help you streamline processes, eliminate waste, and improve efficiency, right? It allows you to improve your communication, right, at a much faster level, right? Brings everybody back together. Customer experience. This is probably one of my favorites, right? You want to create a frictionless type customer experience, right? So whether somebody hits your website or somebody goes to the website and they're actually viewing one of your managed services videos, that's information you can see, right? Of course, you want to increase revenue. It also gives you better data analysis, okay? So by mapping the rev gen process, you can help track key metrics and analyze data more effectively. And by identifying the trends and patterns in the data, it can allow you to make more and better informed decisions and improve your rev gen process, okay? And then, of course, the measurement of success, right? Mapping your rev gen process helps you set benchmarks for future revenue goals and also measure success. So it's
Jason,
a really important thing, and it's something that I personally have never done before. But over the last year, we've put it together, and it's really helped out in a major way.
So Jason,
Yes.
in percentage between last year and this year, any idea on the ratio of how many more meetings you guys have been able to book, leveraging different processes, automations, and having this stuff streamlined out?
Oh man, you're a math guy. What would the number be, Shawn?
I think it's like 3.5 times.
It was almost 4 times the meetings year to date right now compared to what we had. So the run rate should be there. Absolutely.
Yeah. So I think, that is super important. What's interesting is it's kind of a funny story. I hope you don't mind if me sharing this, but they actually started to automate so many meetings being set for quarterly business reviews that they had to pull back and take a break for a little bit, let everybody kind of catch up. That's what's possible. And I will, to give credit to the night crew, their RevOps guy is unbelievable. This guy's a machine. He built like a 300-step workflow, but basically current clients go through this workflow and it's sending them out automated messages and people are booking their own business reviews. That sets those reps up to go out and do that cross-selling piece. So it's really phenomenal to see when it's working, but that's almost 4 times, and that's with a little pullback. So exciting.
Yeah, that's with zero outreach, Shawn. That's like we started to outreach and we had to stop that too because we were getting so many business reviews booked.
Yeah, so you guys have done really well. I'll make a comment here though, because I've gotten smart enough to sell people away from this. Those results came because Jason's team has been committed to this cause. So we meet with our clients weekly as an organization. We literally meet with them every week. We go through things, right? There's slower times, there's faster times. There's been times where there's been challenges, but they've stuck with this for about a year now. And that's the type of results they're seeing. And now those aren't going to go away from them. They have that workflow built. That's not a guy that can just quit on them. The workflow is there, right? The automated dialing that they can do is there. I was showing a company that's in this space right before this call. Since yesterday afternoon, our internal team at Quantum, I'll use our stats, our team's booked 15 meetings for ourselves. A lot of them was calling you guys who are going to come to this webinar and trying to book meetings for afterwards, right? Because we want to try to sell you something and help your organization. So again, to be transparent, it does take a commitment. If you don't want to grow big time, right? You don't want to increase the value of your business. I don't mean this condescending, but there's lifestyle business owners and there's people that say, I want to go from 10 million to 30 or 30 to 100 or 100 to 300. That's the type of person that probably fits with us. If you're looking to go from 5 and in 3 years from now, you still want to be a 5 million or even a 4.5 and you're okay with that, probably not the fit. But if you want to dive in, commit and really grow your business, this is key. Rebecca, without selling HubSpot too much, I want us to stay a little bit on tech and process, but share how technology could literally automate almost all of this if you put the energy into it.
Well, I'll be honest, I don't know that I can do that as well as you because you understand how all the pieces work together. But I think at a high level, what I can say is HubSpot can be the glue, right? That kind of all the data comes in and then you can action communications and have HubSpot field those net new conversations, right? And nurture those conversations. We'll talk a little bit more about what that means in like the buyer's journey. But I think up-leveling marketing in general is typically a goal, and like leveraging marketing in a way where you can actually report on the value that marketing is bringing to your business. Where did these contacts come from? What did they touch along the way? What assets did they touch that led to the most valuable customers so that we can replicate it and do that again?
Absolutely. Thank you. All right, guys. First poll is going to come up. Have you ever mapped out your entire end-to-end rev gen process? Feel free. I think Brent's going to pop up the poll here. Maybe. I know you had to get one. There we go. Perfect. While he's doing that, we had a question down in the chat, which was, Good sales reps are hard to find. How could modernizing our approach help with recruiting and help new sales reps sell faster and hit quota, AKA actually hit their on-target earnings so easily? One, you don't need as many sales reps. So maybe your best bet is to take the team you have. If they're close to the on-target earnings, let's put them on with afterburners and help them get where they're going a lot faster and a lot more efficiently and effectively, that sales velocity. Two, these young, talented people that you're wanting to recruit, they want to come into an organization that's modernized. So it's not just the solutions you're going to sell, but how are we going to get there and how am I going to sell them? And I think that if you have this type of technology, can map it out, can show them how to be successful, those are key. The other thing is, remember, we talked about the 5 areas. With this, you're asking them to be good at 1 or 2. You don't necessarily have to have them be good at all 5. So I'll talk to companies and say, oh, we're going to get rid of Zoom Info. None of our reps are using Zoom Info. Your reps shouldn't have to be in Zoom Info all the time. Why don't you just feed it into the database, put it as a task right on their task queue, and then they have to do it, right? And so that's the type of stuff that you can help control at a corporate level with these processes. So real quick, looks like some results are coming in. 79% of the folks who voted in the poll have never mapped it out. 3 out of the 14 have. I'm going to bet, I can't tell who they are, but I'm guessing those probably are our customers, because if I do these on a completely cold webinar, I've never seen anybody that's actually had that whole thing mapped out. And if you're not our customer, you've had it all mapped out, then we really need to talk, because we're in alignment. So does that number surprise you, Jason, that 80% have never mapped out or, put that down that way?
No, not at all. Not at all. But and I'm sorry to go digress, but I want to go back to the recruiting aspect of it. By automating these processes and putting this type of stuff in, it is a major recruiting tool. SaaS companies, HubSpot, Seamless, Salesforce, they're all utilizing these types of tools these days. And for me personally, it's my biggest go-to-market when I'm looking to recruit a new rep.
Yeah, no, I think those are good points, Jason. All right, and perfect. So this is what we like to call the rev efficiency model. So as we talk to organizations, oftentimes the CEOs get all excited and say, we need so much net new business. We need you guys to go out there and do expand land and go to the moon and find that customer that's never heard of us before and drag home that $500,000 opportunity. That's awesome. But we like to say the most efficient and effective way, when you look at where you've already invested your client acquisition cost, is let's keep the customers we have. So how do we build better processes around delighting them? I was talking to a CEO of a large organization last week. They realized they were losing just a few more customers than they were gaining. They put a practice in place where they have a phone group that calls every single customer at least once a quarter, no matter the size, and they've seen drastic increase. So what special thing can you do to keep? Okay, because I know a lot of you on here have amazing net promoter scores through CEO Juice and that whole process. If you have a net promoter score, how could you automate the marketing of that person that just gave you a 10 on the net promoter score, and either A, ask them if they would be interested in any of your products or services, or B, ask them for a referral, which is number 3, the multiply. These are the trusted people that come into your ecosystem because of the current clients that you have and partners. 4th is convert, which is anyone that's ever heard of your name, a lost deal, someone from years ago, all of that stuff. The other interesting thing here, I would say, that falls between convert and expand, if you've got 10,000 customers in your database, 3 stakeholders per account, it's probably more than that with what some of you guys sell, but 3 stakeholders per account, you'd have 30,000 people. Zoom Info says on average about 30% of that database decays. So people are moving job, things are happening, right? There's actually a field in Zoom Info where you can automatically enrich your data inside of HubSpot. And imagine if you knew out of those 10,000 customers, let's say you had 5,000 people who were champions or stakeholders in their leave, and they went to some companies that you didn't do business with. How amazing if that automatically popped on a task queue for a sales rep, shot an email to that contact saying, hey, congrats on the new gig. Would it make sense to get together in about 30 to 60 days when you got settled? If so, here's my meeting link. And then boom, the second email went out 30 to 60 days later, all automated. And if they happen to visit your website, it'd let you know, and now your team could call that person. Be a pretty big game changer, wouldn't it? And then when it comes to expand, what we'll do, so Quantum, we'll call cold all over the United States. We're in all kinds of industries. We bring in Zoom info data. It comes in with like intent. I know a lot of you have intent on this call. That goes right to a list, triggers an automated workflow, begins to nurture it, sends it to our auto dialer where a rep can make 1,200 to 1,500 dials in a day. And then we call, and the first time we've ever touched that thing is when we're on the phone booking a meeting with our sales team. So it's an unbelievable motion, right? And then those sales outcomes with no intervention can also kick off other activity. So a little quick fun stat here on that is, if I had an SDR making 100 calls a day, they've got to listen to the phone ring, listen to a voicemail, leave a voicemail, and put a note in the CRM, 2 minutes a call. It's 200 minutes, right? So we'll call it 3 hours, 250 working days a year. So 750 hours, 19 weeks of inefficiency in that one thing. Okay. So I'm going to digress here, but Rebecca, do you want to spend a little bit of time just sharing your thoughts on this model? I know yesterday when we were preparing for this, you really liked this and all the areas that, technology can help you with it.
Gosh, yeah. I mean, I think the keep, grow, multiply, convert, expand resonates with me because of how HubSpot thinks about the flywheel. You guys can Google HubSpot and flywheel and you see it's similar in thought process. I really think the real-time communication tracking in the CRM allows you to manage all of these processes while tracking it in a way so anybody or organization can pop open that contact record or that company record and see where they are, right? So there's real value in that. If we're looking specifically at the expand, you referenced the NPS scores. I want to call out Jason's 96.9 because I asked him what the relevance was of that number was before the call, and that is their NPS score, which is amazing. Like if you're not leveraging that to ask for referrals, like automation can help you do this at scale to drive new customers.
Yeah. And I want to try to make sure I get us back on track, but real quick, let's pop open the poll again, Brent. What percentage of your current accounts are you cross-selling multiple product lines to today? 0 to 10, 11 to 25, 26 to 50, 51 to 75, or 75 plus? All right, it's kind of coming in. So I want to know who has the 51 to 75. That's phenomenal. Great job. Looks like most people are saying anywhere between the 0 and 25 and the 26 to 50. So again, if we pulled the analytics, you've got 10,000 customers, you're selling IT. Most of them wouldn't have 5,000 getting IT, right? So then I'd wonder, okay, if they had 100 that did IT, where are the other 4,900 customers? What are they buying? That'd be an interesting topic. I'd love to book some time with you, just see how you're doing that, because that's really good if you're getting 26 to 50%. What we see when we dive into the analytics is it's usually less than 10. Okay, so we've got some people on here that are doing a nice job. Great job, everybody that's on this call that's in that area. And then the 51 to 75, I'd be really interested in that as well. That's very, very impressive. All right, as we move to the buyer's journey, I'm going to go ahead and kick it over to, I believe, Jason, you wanted this one, right? Or was this Rebecca?
Sure. I think it was Rebecca, but I'll take it because I'm passionate about it.
All right, Jason, we'll let you start and then we'll go Rebecca.
So I'll just go over the buyer's journey in my words. So this I think it's important because this is one of the reasons why we're doing this, right? The buyer's journey is different now than it ever has been, right? It's several changes due to the past couple of years, right? Advances in technology, COVID, shift in consumer behavior, changes in the competitive landscape, right? So here are some of the key changes, right? Digitalization, right? The rise in digital channels and technology has transformed the way these buyers are doing the research and purchasing products. That's one thing. The increased competition, right? We all know everybody's out there doing the same thing we're doing, and the idea is to get in more battles. The shift in consumer behavior. Consumers are increasingly focused on sustainable, social responsibility and ethical business practices, right? This has led to the growing demand for products and services that are aligned with these values. Personalization, that's huge, right? Buyers now expect a personalized experience when they interact with businesses. That includes personal content, recommendations, and communications. The importance of reviews and referrals, right? Like I always go back to our Google reviews, the voice of the customer. Reviews and referrals are playing an increasingly important role in the buyer's journey. Buyers rely on this stuff. It's just like when we go out to eat. We want to find somewhere new. We put it on Yelp. We look at the Google reviews, right? And if it says not good service, we don't go there. So that's super important. And mobile devices, folks, they are glued to our hips these days, right? This is a major way to communicate, and it's become a primary way for buyers to research and purchase products. And so we need to make sure that our websites are aligned with them and making sure that we're grabbing this data too. So for me, Shawn, that's kind of the buyer's journey on my behalf. I think you'd probably do a better job of covering your slide though.
Well, I think Rebecca really wanted to hit some ability to talk about marketing attribution and ROI.
Okay.
Well, I totally appreciate what you're saying, Jason. You brought up some good points that I wasn't even thinking about. I will say this, HubSpot was founded on the concept of inbound marketing. We IPO'd on our marketing tools, and it's all about meeting people where they are and serving up the right content at the right time. Yeah. Someone at the beginning of the buyer's journey is not ready to talk to sales, right? They need to be nurtured to build that trust, and you need to know how these people are interacting with your website so that you have context around them. Page views, CTAs, forms that were clicked but not filled out. Retargeting is really, really powerful. And we want you to know what you're getting out of your marketing efforts, what touch points actually drive those new customers and make an impact on your bottom line. So contact attribution and revenue attribution, those are things that a lot of businesses aren't leveraging for making real decisions about how they're investing in their growth.
Yeah, and so that kind of brings us to the next poll question, which is how effectively are you tracking the ROI for your marketing efforts today? So we're tracking it for all marketing efforts, some marketing efforts, or we really don't currently track or don't know how to track the results. So we'll let this kind of populate, but what do you guys, just off the cuff, Rebecca, what do you expect this poll to say?
I would say 99% of folks that I speak to come to HubSpot because this is what they're looking for. So it's not uncommon for folks to say, we have no idea even how to start tracking this.
Yeah, no, I would 100% agree. So the results are in, but really what it's coming down to, guys, is a couple of folks are tracking it for all marketing efforts, about 18%, 27% for some, and then 55% aren't tracking it really at all. And I think that would really align with what I see in the market, right? So again, being able to track that journey, see what's working, see what's not, is so key in how to get the most out of your investment. Just like that $1 million, how do I get it to 8 million instead of 5 in sales, that $1 million investment? Same thing on the marketing side. So we're probably not going to get through everything in the presentation, but this right here, guys, is one slide we got to spend a little time on. So what is sales velocity? Number of opportunities times the average deal size times the win rate divided by how long it takes to get there. So if you go back to like the rev efficiency model, you go back to the mapping it out, where we put our salespeople, when we put them there, is going to determine a lot about how big the opportunity is and how fast it can close and at what percentage it's going to close. Okay. It makes sense when we say it, just out loud like that. But when you look at the processes and you look at the key performance indicators in these organizations, that's not what's actually happening. So I think that this is a great formula for people to look at and see what they could possibly do to improve. This is a book. Justin Michael's done some consulting and advising with me, but he authored the book along with Tony Hughes, Tech-Powered Sales. So how do we ultimately become part human, part bot, right, to be a sales professional? I'm joking, but only a little bit. 70% of what a seller does today can actually already be automated. And some examples of that are automated tools to find the potential leads. So lead scoring, intent from Zoom info, ICP recognition. I mean, think about it. 10 years ago, you weren't just pumping in a bunch of mobile phone numbers of CEOs that have shown interest in this, that also visited the website, and their company size was that. And all you had to do as a sales rep is go call. So as challenging as things have gotten, like Jason mentioned earlier, if you leverage the tools, you can still outpace the challenge drastically. Email marketing can be automated. Social media can be automated. Segmentation, forecasting, chatbots on your website, and then even on your website, you can do smart rules where if certain people visit your website, they'd actually see a different version of the website than others. So did you know in today's world, you guys can really operate like a Fortune 500 company for about the same investment as a newspaper ad. So I actually sold newspaper ads right out of school. You know, if you did a Sunday newspaper ad, we're a mid-market, might be $10,000 for a full page ad in a newspaper on a Sunday, right? Well, today you could do HubSpot, Zoom info, get consulting, have an SDR. I mean, you can really have a pretty great go-to-market for 10K a month. And it's really crazy because people want to go out and they want to hire the 30 sales reps. So we'll go back to that. Well, that'd be $150,000 a month. What if we just took the 80 we had, automated the heck out of them, streamlined things, turn those 80 into 300? So instead of trying to go from 80 to 110, what if we went from 80 to 300 as far as productivity and velocity, and then chop those jobs up a little bit and really get people in their expertise? That'll also increase the velocity. Rebecca, I'm obviously going to let you take this slide. This is HubSpot. Give it to us, your moment in the light here.
I mean, I'm not going to read all the bullets, and I know we're short on time. I just think of everything that the Quantum team has put together in terms of recommendations for your tech stack. HubSpot is the hub. It is the center where, again, you can action that information. You can pull it in from other places. We have open APIs, super usable, super easy to update through automation and integration. So I think, you know, that in a nutshell is the value of HubSpot.
Jason, you're a HubSpot customer. I'm going to let you give Rebecca a nice plug here.
So it was a lot at first, right? Because it's such a dynamic tool and it gives us so much flexibility. But the inefficiencies that we have as a company, I mean, let's just get real. The idea is to get into more sales battles, right? That's the idea, is to get into more sales battles. And I'll tell you, getting hold of decision makers these days is so much more difficult than it was 5 or even, you know, just a couple of years ago. It's a lot more challenging, right? So we've got to do different things in different ways to get in front of these people, to go have a conversation with them. HubSpot gives you that capability, right? It gives you that insight to where you can see where people are landing on your web pages. It gives you the insight to see how much time they spent on them. The insight of actually, you know, when we do a marketing email, we can see exactly who opens it, when they open it, and where they go to. That's insight that we've never had before. For me personally, it's really helping me look at my pipeline in a much different manner versus having to look at Excel files and spreadsheets and things like that. The dashboard capabilities right within HubSpot is immense. It's amazing. So I'll tell you, it was a lot to bite off on at first. We've been running at it for 12 months, and CRM integration is not the easiest, right? It's always a challenge. Nobody ever said, hey, I want to do that again. But once you get there, it's by far, I mean, we're a Compass user too, and that thing is so boring. I mean, there's no way that we would ever go back.
They might watch this.
Sorry about that.
So Zoom info, right? I talk to organizations and they're kind of wasting credits. They're letting their reps go in and look at it like it's a Google. What we think you should do is take that, automate, or at least have a weekly cadence around pushing the data in. The data comes in and it segments. So I'll shout out a couple of buddies on here. We're not a digital marketing agency. We're not trying to do your paid ads. We're not trying to do your SEO. That's not what we do. I see Into on here. I see Dominic Pontrelli, right? So these things can even help if you're working with another marketing agency, segment that database quicker and more automated. So if Dominic's running through his thing, boom, This is helping him do that a little bit quicker. If Rick's trying to run a paid ad, how do we come in, create a custom ad audience and shoot it out? And then know when they click on that ad, all of a sudden that's going to send a task queue back to the sales rep. And now they're calling. So that marketing and sales alignment is working around and around and around. So it's agnostic, guys, whether you have a marketing team, you don't have a marketing team, you have an agency, like we can work with anybody. We're kind of the infrastructure architects. We'll do some of the other pieces where need be, but don't feel like there's any reason that you shouldn't be able to figure out how to find more efficiency in your process. And I don't know why there's two Zoom infos here. Connect and sell. This is by far the top conversation weapon in the world. This is the tool we use to get 12 to 1,500 dials a day out per rep. And what happens is it opens up 5-6 lines at once, starts dialing. There's a VA sitting in between. And if I'm Shawn, the sales rep, all I'm doing is every 1 minute and 58 seconds, I'm talking to Rebecca or Jason as they pick up the phone. So we can have more conversations in an hour with the decision maker. Because remember, we brought it in from Zoom info. It's in the dialer now. We're calling CEOs on their cell phone and we're setting meetings. We can have more conversations in an hour than oftentimes organizations rep would have in a week. I think we've got days where we'll have 14 conversations an hour, not dials, conversations, not with just the front desk, with the person we're supposed to talk to. So unbelievable technology. Great investment. Our team uses it and we use it for our customers when we do sales as service. So that brings me to this, and then we'll kind of move into Q&A. But on average, how many net new meetings are your sales reps setting each week? Is it 0 to 3, 4 to 6, 7 to 9, 10 plus, or you don't track? And don't lie to me with what you wish they were set. And I want to know the actual stat, because people will say, well, our goal is, 15 a month. Where are you at? Well, we're at 4. Okay. Right. So 0 to 3 is 80% right now, 4 to 6, kind of moving around on us here. Someone doesn't track it. So right now it's well over half are 0 to 3 net new meetings a week. So then I asked the question, you guys are out, let's say you got 10 reps. They're having 3 meetings a week. That's 3 hours. I'm going to be really generous. They're taking an hour to prepare for it. So that's 6 hours. There's 34 other hours, a couple internal meetings, a couple other things you got to do. But what's going on with the other 25 hours? Because then when we get into KPIs, they're not making enough dials. They're not sending the emails. Things aren't moving fast enough. So you're out trying to hire 10 more of these same reps. Let's create efficiency and productivity increases and take advantage of the folks in your organization who've been there for years, know what they're doing, but just aren't enough fights. And let's increase that productivity, because even at 4 to 6, that's at most taking them 10 hours a week. And reps are going to say they're working more than 40 hours, but let's just use the 40 as a nice number. That's 30 hours. Then we don't really know exactly what's happening, right? Because the whole point here, how do I get in front of a customer, either build a relationship or create business acumen? That's what I want to do. So let's go fill those guys' calendars up. If there's another 30 hours worth of stuff, let's either automate it or pull it off and delegate it. And let's take those reps up the human value chain and get them doing the stuff that's going to really bring in the dollars instead of recruiting. So it kind of goes back to the question earlier, I believe that Katie had asked. So there's your results. And then one last one. How many business review meetings are your reps setting each week? And don't lie to us here either, because we see the KPI. So we've seen examples where people thought they were doing this. Let's say you got 7 reps, you got 2,000 customers. So I come back and say, okay, so every rep is 300 customers on average. Yes. Quarterly review. Yes. So 100 meetings a month, 20 working days. So they're doing 5 QBRs a day. And then it kind of starts to dawn on them, that's not happening. Because then I say, okay, out of the QBRs, what percentage are turning into a cross-sell opportunity? Because if you took 20%, the numbers, if you took 20% of your current customer base that was in your ICP for managed IT, we'll use this example here, and that average value is say 5K, 4K a month, you could triple your business's revenue without leaving the nest. Right? Then you start looking at, well, who was a champion that went somewhere else? And we automated that. We automated referrals. Pretty soon, you don't need to spend all your time out in the hardest area of expand or out trying to recruit the new sales rep in territory 19 and stick them out there and hope it works out. 0 to 3 is 73%, 4 to 6 is 18, and then someone doesn't track that. Does that surprise you at all, Jason, just being in the space?
No, not at all. It's a difficult thing to track.
Cool. I will speed this up a little bit. So we do a few things. One of the most common ways that people start with us is a 30-day assessment. We just want to sit down. You're going to learn a little bit about us. We're going to learn a little bit about you, and you're also going to learn a little bit about yourself. But we want to go through those 5 key areas of the quantum growth model, plus organizational insights. So what's your vision, mission, 10-year, 3-year, and 1-year goals? And we want to sit and get those down on paper, and then, well, digital, and then ask a few other questions, and then get you in front of Rebecca, Zoom info, connect and sell. So you guys can see at the end of that 30 days, what's possible. At that point, we create a go forward statement of work, and we begin our engagement. We want to have KPIs and benchmarks around it to determine success. So if you'd be interested in that, go ahead and scan this QR code right now, and you'll be able to get on the calendar, and we can talk about what that may look like for you. I'd even say it's $2,000. It's really not about this assessment. If you're part of this webinar today, hopefully Heidi's listening so she catches this, Kevin, Darren, but let's just do it for $1,500 for anybody that refers to this webinar. Give them a break on it, and we'll spend 30 days helping you map out some of these processes. So got a couple of minutes left. While I leave this up, what Q&A do we have? Does anybody on the line have any questions? And Brent, do I need to do anything special to let them
No, I see there were some as listed as answered. I think you kind of referenced some as we were going along through the webinar, but attendees, if you do have a question you would like to ask our moderator or panelist today, you can type those in. While we're waiting just for a moment, let me say that you may have noticed that this webinar is being recorded. So the recording will be available tomorrow on the BTA website. Today, probably now, it was usually we post these at the end of the webinar, there is a PDF of the PowerPoint that you've been seeing. So if you go to bta.org/BMB archives, so BMB is in Building My Business, the webinar series name. So bta.org/BMB archives, you'll be able to access a PDF of the PowerPoint. You'll also be able to go to that same page tomorrow and access the recording. So if you wanted to share it with someone in your business, they'll be able to listen to this as well. We will be sending out an email tomorrow to all BTA member dealers, all contacts, that will provide you a link to that recording. So make it easy for you. Still not seeing any questions come through. I wanted to mention while you're on the website, I encourage you to go ahead and register for our next Building My Business webinar. That is entitled Reman Rising, Remanufacturing Supplies in High Demand. It will be presented by Tricia Judge, who's the Executive Director of the International Imaging Technology Council. That webinar will take place at 4 p.m. Eastern on Thursday, April the 13th. So doesn't look like, Sean, we have any questions. Certainly, if you have any questions, you can reach out to us online. You've got anything you want me to relay to the group, you can email me at brent@bta.org. Email me at that address. So Sean and Rebecca, Jason, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. And special appreciation to Rebecca and Jason for co-hosting this and coming on. I really appreciate it, guys. And thank you so much. And then Brent, it's always a pleasure. I think this is our 3rd time we've done this, and we've always had fun, and hopefully people are getting value out of them. So thank you.
Absolutely. Great job. Thank you all for your attendance today. We'll see you at the next BTA Building My Business webinar on April 13th. For now, we'll thank you for your membership in the association, and we'll say goodbye for now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.